So good. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
The multiverse is real.
Say that again.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Multiverse Monologues, the podcast show where we like to travel across the multiverses and fandoms that we love to talk about the movies and television shows that accompany those universes. I'd like to welcome you folks back to the Marvel movie marathon. We are back doing this last week, or I should say 2 weeks ago. We uploaded New Mutants. We were talking about that epic movie. It was one of the lowest scored movies on our Marvel movie marathon. And if you're just joining us, we have been watching every single Marvel film since Howard the Duck back in 1986, I believe, is when that one premiered.
Could have been.
And we are now this week in 2021 with the first Marvel film in that year with Black Widow, the first Marvel film that year, and it's also Marvel's first movie post-pandemic. Now, it wasn't in the MCU. We've had WandaVision, we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and if my timelines are remembered correctly, I believe Loki happened and was finalized a day before this premiered. So the Marvel hype train was pretty high going into Black Widow. Very overdue, I might add. This was in talks for a long time, and finally this one was able to come out and a little bit positive, I would say. Mostly positive to maybe a little mixed was the reception to this one. But I remember having a good time. I remember taking a whole group to the theater to see Black Widow. But this week, we're here to talk about it. 4 years now removed from this film, and we've got a banger coming up. We're excited to talk about it. And a guy that I'm always excited to talk to is Mr. Ethan Wensloff. Ethan, how are you doing?
Doing great, guys. Thank you. I'm always excited to talk to you as well, Ben. Micah, different story for another day, but he's a part of the podcast
like a
as well.
pig over here.
Ooh, maybe a little bit later you will be. But I'm excited. This is our first time talking about the MCU, and I think over a year, unless I'm mistaken. So it's going to be fun to be back here. And much like the release timing of this movie, when it comes out after Natasha has died in the MCU, who knows when this will come out for you guys. We're recording this pre-seeing the Thunderbolts, and by the time it's posted, y'all have already seen it. The world has already seen it. So this will be a little bit interesting talking about this in a futuristic but past present. It's a prequel. This is a prequel that we're recording right now.
I thought that you were going to say one of us might die before the next episode comes out. As Natasha died before this episode came out.
It's going to be very interesting, especially for us now who all just watched it. I mean, at the time of this recording, 2 days from now, Thunderbolts premieres. So all we know is that reviews have been largely positive. But a guy whose review is always positive on this podcast is Mr. Micah Head. Micah, how are you?
So happy family is back together, celebrating MCU once again. Red Guardian, talk about Captain America in 1986.
Oh, so great. I mean, 2 weeks of accents aside, I'm looking forward to talking about this kind of... I would say this is more of a hidden gem of the modern MCU, often overlooked. People always talking about Shang-Chi, how that one was like super good or whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while. All these other No Way Homes and stinkers of Eternals, and this one seems to go under the radar, spy agent style, and I think it deserves a little more talking about.
Okay. Well, I say we get into it, boys. Let's hit the hyperdrive. Let's open our sling rings and head over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
There is a reason why I'm telling you this, okay? Trust me. I am reaching for fish. Oh, I lose balance. Splash! My hands go in the river. In this weather, frostbite sets in quick. My father, he go toilet on my hands.
Black Widow movie, yes? It's about Natasha's past, see? All that Red Room business with me, Yelena, and the missus. We got to smash Dracov and his brainwashed widow spiders. Good times, mostly. That's your plot synopsis. That's all you're getting for the Black Widow.
That's all you need. That's the whole movie right there. I mean,
Got to smash Drake off. Yeah.
yeah, they spend an hour and a half teaming up, and then the last half hour they destroy the Red Room. So I mean, that's it. That's the movie.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah, right. Of course, all of these are spoiler filled. Of course, I mean, if you haven't seen it, what are you doing watching it? That's what I always say. But yeah, 2021, 4 years removed from Black Widow. I'm really anxious to hear your boys' thoughts. I stayed away from Micah's letterbox because he always posts spoilers for his thoughts.
Oh yeah.
So I stayed away this time. So
Influx.
Okay.
We know that my reviews tend to change post podcast.
well, I think that's one of the main reasons I love doing it because I can have my thoughts right after watching the film, but it's here where I really finalize and get my final thoughts on the movie. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts about this movie. First, I want to hear your history, though. Ethan, what's your history with Black Widow?
Yeah, so this came out in a really interesting time, right? It was post-COVID, and it was at the time when streaming services were first doing this. Oh, let's release the movie in the theaters and on our streaming service at the same time, and HBO really kicked it off, and they started doing that, and then Disney kicked it off with the movie Soul, and then of course when the Black Widow movie came out, they said, okay, for $30 you can watch this on Disney Plus the same day it comes out in theaters. So me getting a group of friends together, we said, oh, we're gonna save a bunch of money. We went over to Noah Badal's house. Shout out Noah Badal, he listens.
Seems like a Badal.
I wasn't too supportive of the theaters. I guess throw tomatoes at me.
Wow,
we
guy.
So that lawsuit that Natasha or Scarlett
Johansson
Johansson went through, that was because of me. So yeah, we got a group of guys together. We watched this at home. So that was probably lame of me, but we saved some money. And at the time, I remember thinking, okay, I'm just happy to be back. I'm happy to have an MCU movie to watch again. And foolishly, I regret not going to the theater to see it because at the same time, we were getting a lot of Disney Plus content. This is fresh off WandaVision, fresh off Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then Loki premieres in the middle of this coming out. So it would have, I should have, in hindsight, gone to the theaters to see this. But I remember thinking that was good. That was a good return to the MCU, and I think that my sentiment, though, at the time, and most people's was, okay, why didn't we get this sooner? Why didn't we get a Black Widow movie sooner? Not only earlier in the phases, but this is set between Civil War and Infinity War. Why didn't it come out then? I think it would have been much well received in that point in the height of the MCU versus, oh, let's kind of tricker this out after COVID. So I liked it then, and I still like it. I don't love it, but I don't want to dip too far into that right now. So I saw this at home. I'm one of the scum of the
Not
year.
your home. But
Not
the
my
Badal's
home. Yeah.
Okay, all right, Micah, what's your history?
Well,
with Black Widow?
to clarify on the lawsuit, she sued because she thought she didn't get enough money and it would have been more profitable if it went in theaters. Just to get all the rest of the details out there. But for me personally, this came out at a time where, so picture 2021 Micah. It was 2 years since he'd really seen a Marvel movie. I mean, Far From Home came out in 2019 and it was just okay. I didn't think it was that amazing. Even in our last rewatch, I didn't think it was anything to write home about. I mean, Endgame was really the peak of Marvel for 2021 Micah. And I had watched
For everyone.
once WandaVision came out, I had completely, like in those 2 years, I had completely gone astray from the MCU fandom. I had no Twitter interaction with it. I had no Reddit interaction with it. I had no idea anything was coming out. I had no idea any release dates, anything like that. But correct me if I'm wrong, but Mando was coming out at the same time, right? As WandaVision?
Let's see. The first season of Mando came out in the winter of December 2019 or 19.
2019.
That's what it is.
2019?
Yes, 2019 was
Oh.
the first season of Mando.
Okay, when was season 2? Was that
Season-
close to WandaVision? So, all right. Well, everyone had Disney Plus by the time WandaVision was coming out, and there wasn't a season of Mandalorian coming out right then. Like it was an empty spot, and that empty spot was filled by WandaVision. So that's how they sucked everybody in, including me, who saw, oh, that was a very impressive season. I like that a lot. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out. Everyone was kind of like, kind of on the fence. I'd like to review that. I'd like not like review it on the podcast, but review it. I'd like to rewatch that. Loki season 1 peak, and then in the midst of Loki season 1, you get Black Widow, and I feel like at that point in Marvel history, people were staying up till 2 a.m. to watch those episodes premiere. I was one of those guys that stayed up real late just to watch those episodes. I wouldn't today, but back then, I think that was like my most enthusiastic point in Marvel history, even past like the Endgame stuff. So I was pretty psyched for Black Widow to be back in the theaters. And in fact, I am better than Ethan.
He is.
I went to the theater, NCG, and I saw it with, I'm pretty sure I went with Parker, a couple other people. I'm not sure who all went. My memories of it were fuzzy. It was so long ago, right? But I definitely watched Black Widow in theaters, and I remember liking it. It was okay.
Right. Yeah. Even me rewatching it, I was like, oh, wow.
It
okay.
seemed like an unceremonious return to the cinema. It seemed like, all right, the last ones we had were Far From Home, which was okay. Like we were kind of on the down ramp. And to kick off a new phase with something like Black Widow.
Well, it's like this is our return to the MCU post Endgame. So you think, okay, the movie you want post Endgame should be the best that Marvel has, and it should be something that gets us excited for the future. But instead, what this did was this was a major retread. Oh, first, this is what we're going to do to get you excited for this next phase. Is we're going to go back and revisit a character who died in the last phase, like a really, really weak start to phase 4, and it's not what Marvel wanted. They wanted this phase to get kicked off with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but James Gunn was fired in the midst of all the COVID stuff and pushed the release date of that back, thus, and COVID and everything, meaning that Black Widow was the film that had to carry the weight.
Yeah, and what really put it in the grave was that this was the first Marvel movie where it ends and you say, well, at least there's the Loki season 1 finale next week. And then that's all the discourse about Black Widow gone. Like there's no conversation.
Like, oh, at least that cool new girl might be in that Hawkeye show coming out.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, and that was the sentiment at the time was, who cares? Loki was peak and like completely overshadowed this movie. Even though this got a full IMAX release, it had like crazy marketing. It was everywhere. I mean, it was the face of Disney Plus for a long time. This was a hugely promoted movie.
What?
Everyone was excited about Black Widow finally getting a movie, the last of the Avengers to get, I mean, besides Hawkeye, but Hawkeye had a show coming up a couple of years down the road.
It's interesting that the nature of this movie is Loki episode 5 comes out, which is a great episode with all the variants. You meet Loki's variants. And so you're like hyped on the multiverse train.
Yeah.
And this comes out and this, like, okay, this is just old stuff.
It's very phase 1.
Phase 1 grounded MCU.
Yeah.
This is, what are we doing here? But
Missions.
now, I think years later, it's kind of refreshing in a time when MCU is so multiverse heavy. But before we do that,
Let's
Ben,
not get into today's takes just yet. I want to
Not
hear
yet.
what Ben has to say. Ben, how did you experience this for the first time?
I went to the theaters. I got a whole group together and I went and saw this. This was on my train of watching every MCU movie, the Thursday premiere. So I was not going to stop it now with Black Widow because I'd done it with every other one before this, starting with Winter Soldier. I should add that caveat there. But
what broke that train?
I believe it was the Marvels.
Oh,
that train. We watched all the other ones, but
That's right. You
the
did
Marvels.
see the Marvels.
I think I watched that a week later after it was done.
We watched that in an empty cinema.
Can you believe we're going to have to watch it again?
Yes, we're pumped.
Can believe it. Yes, we are pumped. Exactly, because we get to talk about it now. removed from the discourse.
We not only watched it, but now we get to watch it and record content. So it's worth it, right?
Now it's worth it, yes. But I would say it was worth it to go see this movie in the theaters, too. A lot of people were nervous about COVID, though. I remember it was like the first time for a while that I went to a Marvel movie opening night, and the theater was not packed to the brim. It was just not that way. A lot of people, I think, did what Ethan did and spent $30 at home to watch Black Widow. So I was there with, I think I took 5-6 people, and we enjoyed it. But yeah, I think we generally had the same thought. Yeah, that was good, but let's go watch Loki. You're right, and you're right. The timeline is correct. You guys have it right. It was episode 5, and then the finale was later on.
Yeah,
and
look at that. It came out the 14th. The movie came out the 9th of July.
Yeah, you wonder why Marvel decided to do that. You wonder if Marvel knew, like, oh, I don't know if this one's going to be too well received, so let's put this with Loki.
Well, yeah, think about it. If it bombed, then you've got Loki. If it was good, then at least you got Black Widow. If both are good, then you got 2 cakes and you get to eat them both. So, I mean...
But this was like, after the pandemic, it was like all of what Marvel had been planning and prepping and preparing. They just had to finally, okay, here's everything. You know, like we had so much content in 2021 and 2022.
The most content out of any year for Marvel ever.
Oh my gosh. It
10 full projects.
It almost became too much, but I love that you guys brought me back there for a second. I forgot staying up to watch Marvel movies, or I should say Marvel TV shows every night. And Mando, yes, Star Wars, I would do that. Every episode of WandaVision, I was on the edge of my seat. When Evan Peters comes on, I distinctly remember when he comes on that screen, and I looked over at my X-Men Blu-rays, and I was like, I didn't purchase you guys for nothing. Finally, they're bringing the X-Men back, but we had to wait, I guess, a little bit longer because
We're still waiting.
it ended up being Ralph
Wait,
Boner.
who did you, yeah.
Yeah. Who? It was not Evan. It was not Quicksilver. But anyway, that's a different show. This was, yes, I agree with you, boys. It's just okay. I thought it was good, but going back to this, I don't know that my opinions have changed very much. And it's largely due to one element of this movie. And I say we just dive right into movie talk here.
It's your task.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember so you saw this movie before I did, and we went to the Museum of Science and Industry, and we were sitting in the lunchroom talking, and I was going to see it later that weekend, and you were like, I didn't even get the idea across that you enjoyed it, because the first thing that came to mind was you were like, dude, they blew it with Taskmaster. Yeah. So
I remember, and it's not even like I have a huge history with Taskmaster. I just remember him being in a lot of the Marvel animated shows that I grew up watching as a kid, particularly the episode of Ultimate Spider-Man in season 1, where he overtakes their school as their like assistant vice principal. Or if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But he is a great element of that show, and he's always been a very cool and interesting character. So when I heard Taskmaster is going to be the villain in Black Widow, I'm super excited, and all the stuff I've seen from the trailers has nothing to curtail that at all. But then the movie plays out,
And she's a woman. Oh,
but it's not
ruined.
okay. People can go there if they want to, and I know people did. That's not where I'm coming from. What I want to see is the character portrayed as he is in the comics, but the way that they use her in this film does not work well for me. And if they had just tweaked it just a little bit, I have the perfect edit for this movie to make that work for Black Widow. But it is what it is. They made her Dreykov's daughter. I don't think it works very well at all. It's played as a very emotional moment at the end. It doesn't work for me. Does it work for you guys? The reveal that she's Dreykov's daughter, the person that Black Widow killed accidentally in her past in Budapest or Budapest. Does it work for you guys? Does that reveal work?
I think the character is pretty dang cool. When they're having some fight scenes and Taskmaster does a Spider-Man swing, and then you see her do the Winter Soldier moves, all of that, you're like, okay, there is so much potential with this character. And I don't know too much about the character Taskmaster, but I think I think it does work for me to bring back Dreykov's daughter in some capacity, and like it's the past that haunts her. Even in the first Avengers movie when Loki and Natasha are talking, and Loki's like, "Your past." I don't remember the exact quote, but he's like, "You're red in your ledger," and Dreykov's daughter, like Loki name drops it. So it's part of her past, and it's something that haunts her. I don't know if the movie executes on it as well as it wanted to. And yeah, maybe making her Taskmaster was a mistake. It's not something that sticks with me with this movie. I think the portrayal's pretty cool. Execution maybe could have been better, but I'm not leaving sour because of it.
Well, I would say is that both New Mutants and Black Widow are female-led movies about controlling your past.
And trauma.
And trauma and getting past it, And I'd say this one does it a lot better.
Along with a WandaVision did that as well.
WandaVision did it too. Yep.
Falcon Winter Soldier touched on it a little.
Yeah.
Loki. So
it's all kind of about that. And I think that Taskmaster, while I also don't know much about the original character of Taskmaster, has really cool fight choreography, especially on the bridge. I think that's awesome. I mean, a lot of it, is inspired by other Avengers and things like that. And I have said previously on this podcast that pitting Avengers against Avengers is one of the coolest things you can do. And any excuse to have Avengers moves against Avengers is cool. I like that. I like that's how Red Guardian gets his shield is from Taskmaster. That's pretty sick.
that is cool.
Yeah, I didn't really remember that what's his name was even part of Black Widow's history. I'm glad that they set it up and established it again in Black Widow, the movie. And it seemed very obvious throughout that Taskmaster was going to be the daughter or something. They just kept saying, oh, and here's this daughter. She died too, right? No need to think about her again, right? All right, we'll move on to the next scene. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Taskmaster for me was pretty good and seemed kind of MacGuffin villainy, brainless until the very end. I liked what they did with her at the very end because she's just some zombie thing for most of the movie with cool moves.
You have to understand, though, because we were talking about this before. Black Widow coming back is not enough, I think, to get people in movie theaters again. It's nice to have her have a movie, but you have to have another element to get people excited. And for me, that was Taskmaster, just because I'd seen him in other stuff before, and I really liked his monologues. He was a very imposing figure, kind of like a lesser version of Doctor Doom, a depowered Doctor Doom, essentially. That's kind of how I took him. But here it's not that way. And instead of Taskmaster being the thing I took away the most from this movie, it's Yelena. Without a doubt, Florence Pugh is my favorite part of this movie. She exudes charisma, and I cannot wait to watch her in Thunderbolts. But I think she is the element that really ties this together. Now, I do have one issue with her. It's very small.
What is it?
Her humor doesn't really work all the time for me.
It feels very forced in there.
Yes.
And even not even to the, like, I don't think Florence Pugh does it bad or anything. Just, we don't need what we're, like the pose thing. I know people like that. I think that's really thrown and shoehorned in there.
100%.
Yeah, it feels like it wasn't written in. Yeah. And it was just like something they thought of that day. I mean, in that way, it feels kind of natural, like a natural character to make fun of her sister doing a stupid pose. That felt natural. Just kind of the delivery needed a little work. But for me, a draw to get into the theater was David Harbour. I loved Stranger Things. When it was coming out around this time, it was huge. What was it, season 3 at this point? Season 3. Season 3 was coming out.
Yep.
And Marvel's cashing in on the hype.
Yeah,
two movies in a row with Stranger Things.
Exactly. Yeah, we got Stranger Things up on the shelf here. And it's I was drawn to the theater not only because it's Black Widow, but because David Harbour. A lot of people were coming to the theater because of Midsommar, because of Florence Pugh.
That's right.
I mean, Florence Pugh was Little Women had come out in 2019 too, so there was a lot of Florence Pugh hype coming up, and
still is.
Still is. I mean, she's still on the incline here. I think she's got a big career ahead of her, and I mean, there was more draw, but not the comic booky MCU draw that you might have expected. At least,
How so? What do you mean by
because it wasn't like you don't have that big name villain. You don't have that big name secondary hero, right? It's just Black Widow. That's the only character you know coming in. And then you've got this like, oh, it's Russian Captain America. That's like a B or a C draw, having it be a Captain America-esque character. And then Taskmaster is advertised as this. I don't even know how much she was advertised in the trailers, but
Pretty well.
yeah, pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got this chameleon of a villain that can do all of the Avengers moves, and I don't know. They just really didn't have that A+ stuff comic book wise, but actors wise, they had David Harbour and Florence Pugh, and those were their big draws.
If anything, you have, and it's a name we don't talk about enough, but Sarah Haley Finn, who's the casting director and
crazy
has
good.
been since the beginning, she, as far as jobs go in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I might say she probably has the most important and the best job. She gets an A+ and might be the only person who does, because she is perfect. Since Iron Man, casting Robert Downey Jr., now here casting Yelena and David Hart. I mean, obviously these are great names and big names, but I think they work so well as all of these characters.
Definitely.
I mean, she was the big get for Tom Holland as Spider-Man. She has a lot of say in who they casted this stuff. And everyone, as far as casting goes, we can talk about performance, we can talk about how the writing affects these characters, but the casting, it always hits, and it definitely does here.
Dude, Sarah Haley Finn, if you're looking through her IMDb, you can look at every single one of these movies, and it's like, yeah, I mean, the characters were cast perfect. The actors and actresses that are playing them, spot on. Like, they softball pitch to those scripts, and then either the scripts dropped it or the directors dropped it or whatever. But, dude, all-star cast here. Sarah Haley Finn, props to you. Every single one of these movies is just peak casting.
Well, and the casting in this movie is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I was just thinking, man, what a cool thing that post Endgame there were
Tron Legacy.
a lot of misses, but that you did some good casting. And I personally was a lot more invested in this movie this watch through than I was the first time I watched it, because I knew, okay, that this is a base and they are building off this, right? Yeah, this kicked off phase 4 and we weren't sure where it was going then, but now knowing they're going to be in the Thunderbolts and these characters are going to play a part in Avengers Doomsday, I'm more invested in who Red Guardian is. I'm more invested in Florence Pugh because they're going to come back. And I wasn't sure, okay, going into this movie, are they all going to die? Are they all going to die at the end of this? Natasha's dead. Who cares about the characters that surround her? But now they built on that base and it's even bigger. And I think for me, the family stuff in this movie, most of it works really, really well for me. And the way that they kick it off, I thought they kick it off in a really great way with the plane sequence, and they're just a little family together. And you later learn that it was all staged and they only really spent a few years together, and their photo album was all staged. I think that's really cool because for Yelena, that was real. Like, that was her life. That's what she knew. Natasha, it wasn't real. Red Guardian, it wasn't real. Milena, it wasn't real. But for Yelena, it's like, this is my life. You guys were my family. And I think that adds a depth to this that is much needed.
Well, it seems like for the parents, it seemed a little more real, but
True.
Romantically.
seem to have a lot of energy. But I really like the intro too. I agree with that. I think there was it really set up this feeling of like that could have been the whole movie. Like a good chunk of the movie could have been this upbringing, this undercover David Harbour going through his little lab thing. Like, you can see a whole storyline playing out, and I really like the chase sequence and then going onto the plane, that whole intro, and then them landing on the island. That one match shot, the match cut in the plane, that was pretty sick, going on the island. And then how those kid actors really were crying and really were like, how Natasha was able to pull the gun on the dude. That was pretty sick.
They even have, which most Marvel movies don't, a opening credits sequence
Yeah.
with a really good song. Like, I like the song that they were playing at the
I didn't
beginning
like
of
it
this
as much.
movie. It sets the vibe, I think, perfectly for what's to come. I just don't think what comes on later is as compelling as the movie thinks it is. And I think this is a problem that if you've watched Ahsoka, then you know what we're talking about. But I'm saying that a lot of this alludes to a past we haven't seen. And I think it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Because instead of building off of Black Widow's past in the Avengers, they do a little bit, but they build off of her family ties. And we only see a little bit of that. I like how you say it could have been a bigger part of this movie and honestly, maybe it should have been.
Yeah.
Because a lot of references they throw back. Like, I'd like to feel Yelena's emotions a little bit more when she's saying it was real to me too, because I don't, you know? And did we get a Hawkeye voice cameo in the Budapest sequence in the middle of this movie? Am I remembering that, or am I just totally?
I think the only Hawkeye cameo we get is at the end with his picture on the screen.
I don't remember a voice credit, but yeah, if this were a mini series, I feel like a good chunk of the first episode would have been that preview.
I felt that same way because most of Marvel's shows are movies split into a miniseries, whereas this one I feel like it is so dense. There is so much story. The Red Room, Dreykov, the Black Widow, Legion, that's so much to establish in a film, and you kind of only get little hints at it. And I know for me, before this movie came out, if you asked me who's Natasha's family, who would you guys say?
The Avengers.
And mainly part of the Avengers, who? Which guy?
Hawkeye?
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like
Clint.
not having him in this movie doesn't make sense. And I get timeline-wise, he's locked at what's the brig? Where are they locked?
The raft.
The raft. He's locked in the raft. So he can't be in the movie timeline-wise, but I feel like if you're doing a Black Widow origin story, you need that. And I don't know. I feel like that piece is very much missing because we never really get that. The most we get is a few scenes in the Avengers movies sprinkled out. But I think if you have the Hawkeye element, and I really, really wish this movie came out when it's set. I think the impact of that, and if you set up all these characters within that phase, then props to Marvel for setting up the next slate of characters before the Endgame. I don't know. I think it would have been so much smoother. I wish they thought ahead in that way.
I disagree a little bit. I don't think that Clint should have been in this, although he is very like integral to the Natasha like character. But I do like how separated this is from all the other characters in Marvel. Like, this is so much its own thing. And if it had Clint in it, if it had anyone else in it, if what's his name, Bruce Banner showed up as Bruce, you know, I think that would have taken away a lot of, like, they would have said, oh, it was great, but then another dude showed up and this was Black Widow's movie. Like, I think it's good because it's her own thing and it's so committed to being her own thing. Like, you got the little bits at the beginning and the little bits at the end where they're like, oh yeah, they're on the raft, just to remind you where they are. And then at the end, all right, that's where they are. Like, that's where you go. That's where you've been. That's where you're going. And this is just an in-between that's completely separate from, like, this is her own thing. This is her cause. She needs to free these people from the Red Room, from the clutches of, what's his name? The Russian dude. Dreykov. And the conditioning. And it's like this big allegory for what's it called? Kidnapping girls and stuff. So, I mean, it is kidnapping girls. And I think they do a pretty good job at keeping it to itself.
You almost get the feeling like, and people have levied this at the MCU many times in the past, that it only exists to help set up future films, television series. I almost imagine a multiverse or a different universe where this movie is released and it's telling the movie's about Budapest with her and Hawkeye as the leads.
So Ike Perlmutter, famous producer. I think he's a producer. He ran Marvel behind the scenes for many years. Famous sexist, famous racist for Marvel.
Famous not good guy.
The reason Black Widow didn't get a movie earlier is because he was like, a women movie, that's not going to make any money. So in a perfect world, she would have had a movie much earlier, and this would have came out, like we should have got a Black Widow trilogy. I'm not saying we should have got a Hawkeye trilogy. I think he should have been a part of that Black Widow trilogy. But I think there is more. There is more to be had there. And I agree that the movie that they made, Clint doesn't really fit naturally into that.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben highlights the Budapest storyline is that's so important to her past. And we just get hints at that. We're alluded to that in the other, mainly the first Avengers film. I feel like you do need some closure there that we don't get. And Clint's a part of that.
Yeah, I definitely agree there should have been closure, but I don't think that it should have been in this movie. I feel like if they were going to have closure between them, it was in Infinity.
Do we get enough closure in Endgame between the two of them?
I think so.
I guess maybe the release date of this movie kind of throws that into
But I think
perspective.
What works for Endgame, though, is that we almost don't get enough closure. And I think it works for it because then you feel that remorse that Hawkeye's feeling at the end. You know, I wish there was a way I could just let her know that, you know, we won. They have a nice moment, a really good moment, actually, a really emotional moment on Vormir, I believe is the planet's name. But I like that you don't get enough. And I like that he deals with it then in Hawkeye. And Yelena has also the fallout there as well. So,
and that's part of Clint's character is that he doesn't have that closure. I mean, part of his identity as the Ronin is that he's trying to complete vengeance, right? He's trying to kill all of the people that are bad to recover something, but he can't. No matter how many guys he kills, he just can't. And no matter how hard he tries, he cannot have that full, complete closure with Natasha because she sacrificed herself for everybody. And that fits his character quite well.
Yes, very true. Is there anything else we want to say about this movie before we move on to the segments? I've got one thing, but
I think Dreykov is super lame. Did we highlight that?
Absolutely.
I think the villains in general are developed. Yeah, undercooked. They need a little more time training in the Red Room.
It's kind of like you said in a miniseries, if you have like tension to build and relationships to build. But when she meets Dreykov at the end, that's the first time we've ever seen them interact, ever.
I alluded to a tweak I would make with Taskmaster's character. You don't make her Dreykov's daughter. You stay with the comic book origin, but you make him a hired gun for Everett Ross. Or not Everett Ross. Thaddeus Ross. Because he kind of feels like shoehorned in there a little bit at the beginning and the end because like, oh yeah, we have to remind people this takes place during Civil War, that time, you know. But imagine him going, a scene of him going to this room or whatever. I think, no, Taskmaster owns a school in the comics. Yeah. Going to this school and being like, yo, all right, these people, they're going across the Sokovia Accords. We know Thunderbolt Ross he's famous for working with kind of shady individuals. So he goes to this guy. He's like, "You're the best there is at what you do. I need you to go find and track her." And you can still have your plot with Dreykov and everything like that, dealing with trauma and everything like. But Taskmaster is also on the hunt, finds her, and brings Thunderbolt Ross there at the end. I think that would work a lot better, story-wise, and just because fans of the comic book character would also be more I would be more happy.
The last appearance of William Hurt as Secretary Ross.
Did he do anything after this?
This is it. This is his IMDb. I mean, he's got like 3 more projects, but nothing special.
Last movie.
These TV shows look all right.
And we can throw a lot of shade at Captain America 4, but and we won't. We're big. We like Harrison Ford for the most part on this podcast, but
we'll talk about that.
He has none of the sauce that William Hurt has. William Hurt is Thaddeus, and I was like, it would punch me in the face seeing him in this movie because, like, Harrison Ford doesn't even try to
He's just Harrison Ford.
He's just Harrison Ford. He doesn't even try to carry what William Hurt set up. So
He's like President and Fugitive.
yeah, we like Harrison Ford, but I think the casting is
Or,
really,
Air Force
really,
One, I mean.
really nerfed there.
Imagine if William Hurt was in there.
Also-
Imagine that transformation scene.
Oh,
That would have been peak.
Rest
Well,
in
Pat-
peace.
yeah, people passing away. We
Gone too soon.
can't
Yes.
mess. I mean, same with Chadwick Boseman. This was the first MCU film to come out after his passing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, what's the future? What's the future of the MCU? Also, someone I had no memory being in this movie, and I don't even know his name, but her just guy.
What's his
What's
name?
that guy's name?
You want me to pronounce it?
He has a really interesting name.
The guy who
Yeah.
just gets her stuff.
O.T. Fogbenley?
Mason. He plays
Mason.
Mason in this movie. I had no memory of this guy being in the movie. Do you guys remember him being in this
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah, he was the dude who slept on Natasha's bed. I thought he was pretty funny
Very briefly.
for the brief moments that he's in. He's in 3 or 4 different scenes. Remember, he gets her the ancient helicopter from the USSR, and then he gets her the like shield
Yeah.
copter thing at the end.
Well, I know, but he's on the poster. But I was like, who is this guy? When
I liked him.
Okay, good.
He was
So,
memorable to me.
the
me.
one thing I do like with him at the end is when Black Widow says, "You've been a really great friend," and he's like, "That's what every guy likes to hear."
Yeah.
Like very, very self-referential there. But he's nothing to me. in this
I liked how he because she's on the run and he hooks her up with the RV, and I was thinking, man, that'd be rough being trapped in that RV. Then the next scene, she's eating food and watching movies, and I'm like, okay.
Maybe it would be
if
so
you're
bad.
isolated in the middle of nowhere in an RV.
in Norway, dude, Norway's a great place to be. from
But
what I
as
hear.
long she had a physical media collection, I'm like, okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
I know how you'd survive.
Unfortunately, the backup generator revealed her whole. Dude, it was planted by Taskmaster.
Ruined her night.
There's no way.
Yeah, your letterbox would be going crazy in that situation.
Yeah, but the Taskmaster jump scare when she's turning onto the bridge and her car just gets destroyed, that was good. That got Rebecca to jump, got me to jump in theaters. I remember it scared me.
There are sequences where, like when there's that great chase where.
Did you guys watch the IMAX expanded? I did, and when it goes to that scene in when like right after
Is that through where's that chaser? Is that Norway?
No, that was Budapest.
It was Budapest.
Remember they met back in Budapest. She saw Yelena for the first time in like 20 years or whatever. And then as soon as they're sliding down on the roof, it expands into the IMAX shot. It was pretty sick. All the IMAX cuts in this are pretty sweet and reminiscent of your boy
Mission Impossible
Fallout. Yep.
I wanted to ask you, Ethan,
Yeah.
about that. So, as the biggest Mission Impossible fan on this podcast,
Ever.
without a doubt, ever. So they do a little mask reveal in here. So how does that compare to Mission Impossible movies? That reveal for
it's
you?
Buns. It's garbage. Come on,
Buns,
because Dreykov realizes it and pulls it off, whereas any great Mission Impossible mask reveal is one, the characters in the scene have no idea, and then even the best ones we have no idea watching. So this one works because we have no idea watching it what's going on, but Dreykov figured it out. That's lame. You need because I feel that it's very obvious the way that they emulate a ton of shots from Mission Impossible Fallout. They have the Fallout sequence to end this movie. The motorcycle and even Lauren Balfe scoring the movie pulled right from Mission Impossible. So I think if you're already kind of going that far with it, just do a full-on mask
They've
reveal.
got the helicopter going on
Yeah,
too.
fully just have Natasha rip the mask off, and you're just.
Instead, it was the nanotech of mask reveals. So
No, but
all right. For me, it was a surprise. I completely forgot about it from the original viewing. Caught me off guard. I mean, it wasn't like crazy, like
but
mind blowing.
your first time seeing it since watching Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So did you immediately go?
It was like
"Oh,
the
yeah."
Aldi version of
the great
it was
value.
Like, yeah, Clancy Brown's all right. I mean, it tastes pretty good, but it's no Lay's. Come on.
That's very true. we didn't really talk about the mom, Melina. That's what it is.
She's all right.
Yes.
I
Rachel
like her
Weisz.
pig stuff. She's got like her remote controlled pigs that
She's
turns
like,
out she created the technology that brainwashes all of the Black Widows.
Ooh.
Which that cuts deep. That's like, oh, dang. For like the whole family as I don't know, she definitely knew before that happened, but seeing Natasha find out about that and Yelena find out about that, Natasha kind of like, I gotta say, ScarJo kind of the weakest actress in the movie.
Not talking
all of
about
them.
accents here because I think all the accents are kind
It's
of
weird
weak,
that she's the only one with an American accent.
but I agree.
Yeah.
She I don't know. I
For her
wouldn't say
movie.
she's phoning it in.
It's her movie, and she's executive producing the movie. She's got stakes in it. She sued him because she was so upset at the performance.
Would you say phone it in is the right way?
No,
I don't think so.
I think her the way this movie feels is, especially now with Thunderbolts coming out, is that Natasha's the centerpiece, but everything around her that's set up for the future, and she's just kind of the conduit we learn this world through. And in doing that, like, I shouldn't leave a Black Widow movie and think, oh, Yelena, she was a great character.
David Arbor, nothing to write home about.
I think she's really good in this movie. I like her a lot, and she cared a ton. Like, you go watch the special features. Really cool seeing how much of this is practical and how much she was actually doing. She cared a lot about this character and this movie, but maybe you are left a little hungry after it.
I think the problem is, that she's going to die because she's already dead.
She's already dead, yeah.
And, like, what else are you going to do character development
Right, it's too late. It's too late for this movie.
Why would they invest? Like, if they did invest any character development, how would they fit it in with Endgame stuff and Infinity War stuff? It's like, it's too convoluted. So she kind of has to be the every woman that's also still crazy cool, bad action lady. I don't know why I almost said that. I never say words like that, but crazy cool Black Widow, Get out of here, Ethan.
Liar.
No, I don't.
It's all that time you've been spending
You
with
didn't
your
feel
wife.
that, though.
Yeah.
You didn't feel all that.
I thought that the action parts were crazy cool, but every time I try to think about a specific moment with Natasha, it's like, it's Yelena. And, wait, that was Natasha. It wasn't Yelena. And then I think of like, the coolest fight scenes. Those were Natasha. But I keep wanting to think it's Yelena because the characters are so similar, but Natasha's like a dialed down version of her.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my whole take on Natasha. She's just a turned down version of Yelena. Yelena would have been the Black Panther. Or Black Widow, the other one.
I could slip it up.
She's the new Black Panther, Yelena.
Dang.
Spoilers.
Yeah, who are they going to recast? Black Panther. In Wakanda Forever. It's coming out.
Well, let's talk about characters, boys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about favorite characters in Black Widow. I'll start with Ethan. Ethan, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I'll take Natasha just because we were dogging on her, and I think the two other obvious choices.
Wait, you'll take Natasha? Expand on that.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like what was good about her?
That's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
Yeah, give me a
Well,
second.
you were about to talk about somebody else.
No, I wasn't. I'm Natasha.
We were just dogging on her.
I like her in this movie, and she is the main character. But I really just enjoyed finally getting a movie to spend with her, and I think Scarlett Johansson clearly loves this character. Clearly wanted this to happen sooner than it did, and I don't think she gets all the star power, not star power, all the attention that she should have gotten in this movie. I think it's a little spread, but I think what she gets is really good. I think it would have helped her a lot more if the villains she was going against were better. Like, how hard would that scene hit at the end between Dreykov if we knew who Dreykov was and knew the extent of what the Black Widow program put her through and the pain that she went through. It's all alluded to, but it's never actually fleshed out. But I think Scarlett Johansson does the best she can with the movie that she's given. And I think her action scenes are pretty dang cool, I think. So I'll take Scarlett Johansson just because I know if I took someone else, you guys would have had to take her. So
There's also and this is not to take away from your point. I agree, but there's also some weird, and this isn't her performance. There's some weird shots of her
what?
private parts. You know, like
Well, her
they
rear.
linger on her rear a few times. There are a few chest shots that are just it's really weird in this kind of movie in this year. Like you thought that like that's for like Daredevil
Elektra.
2003 exactly or Elektra. You wouldn't think you'd see that in a 2021
Female directed film.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Well, I think the reason is they had some men on the writing staff. They had Eric, Jack, and Ned. Is Jack a dude or is that a girl?
You got to look at the cinematographer.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
that's who
that's
you got
a
to
woman.
look at.
That's a woman.
I don't know.
Oh,
it's
she
just-
did WandaVision and Agatha.
I don't know. It was an interesting choice for me. I didn't expect that. I was kind of like, why are we lingering here?
It's also
But that
interesting
doesn't take away from her character.
I didn't really
I will
notice
say
that.
And
Yeah.
and you know
I
what?
noticed it a lot in the
Yeah.
Norway stuff, and I don't know if it was much on Yelena, but
You know what though? I think the other MCU films, like especially Winter Soldier, I think that does that a lot though.
it's
so I guess
just
they're trying to be consistent. Maybe I don't know.
it's in stark contrast with all of the other characters, though. That's the only reason why it was obvious. Like they didn't have any shots of David Harbour's butt. Like they didn't have any. Not that I wanted any. I'm just saying.
Are you sure, Mike?
It's like, where are all these shots going? Dude, I'm starving here.
Yeah, we're thirsty out here, bro. We need some. But
Is that going into your favorite character, Mike? Are you going to take it?
the Red Guardian. I love him. He's got the most like energy going on. As I've said, he's got a lot of energy built up.
He was good.
I loved him in the prison. How he's just boom, getting all the arm wrestling down. He's getting the tattoo going. He's just from the get go. I love his intro in the flashback scenes. How he seems like he seems like a different character. So it shows his transformation just briefly from agent playing dad to doofus of a father figure later on in the movie. I like that. I like his character. I like how he always has this vendetta against not really Captain America himself, but the legend of Captain America. And he's the Red Guardian. I mean, he's trying to be this huge, big communist version of Captain America, and it's just everything I wanted out of the character. It's so funny. Laughing at every single joke. I love when they land the helicopter. Oh, we have enough fuel. Boom, lands it. And then the first question he is like, do they talk about me when the Captain America? Did he talk about me? So funny. Every single line just made me laugh. And David Harbour should be in more stuff. I feel like he's not in enough stuff. Have you guys seen he has this Frankenstein short on Netflix called Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein or something like that? Hilarious.
Have
Go
not
check
seen
that out if you want to see more of David Harbour's acting chops. Alfred Molina is in it too. Hilarious.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like his relationship with Yelena as
Yes.
well. Like he's the only real person I think who never really compromises who he is in the movie. A lot of characters make heel turns in this movie, but he stays consistent.
Yeah.
He's a doofus from start to finish,
Yeah.
and I like that.
She's like, I came in here because I didn't want to talk.
Yeah.
And then he tries his darndest
Yeah.
to be sincere. He's
Yeah.
like, I put my hand into the ice pond and I get frostbite on my hand, but Father, urinate onto hands.
Yeah.
You're in 32 degrees Celsius.
There is point. I'm telling you this.
And he's trying so hard. And I'm glad he didn't get like a, for real though, serious this time,
Yeah.
line. At no point
but
does he break that character.
Within the construct of his character, he does end up doing something that does hit at her heartstrings when they sing American Pie at the end of that scene. That I actually get some feels going
Yep.
in that scene. That's pretty good.
I do think that the songs are shoehorned in. I think every movie since Guardians has had to check that box for licensed music. And
Sometimes I would say Homecoming kind of had a good
the
soundtrack.
Spider-Man movies
I
do
like
a good
that
job
one.
at that. But I mean, we had it in New Mutants, right? Like all of these movies have had to have The Avengers movies were pretty good. Infinity War and Endgame. Deadpool, yeah. Spider-Verse.
I think you're right.
Okay, so a good
Yeah.
chunk of them have done a good job, but still, it's like a check mark to. You like the intro song in the opening credits. I didn't like it that much.
I think it's a good vibe setter.
Maybe I just have something in the way on my mind from Batman that just does that vibe so much better.
That is, I'm not going to argue with that.
But that came out
100%.
after, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not going to argue there.
Yeah.
100%. I agree. I'll take Yelena then. Of course, I think she's the best part of this movie for sure. I think she was the obvious choice if you're going to continue on.
She's
have a
great.
character like Black Widow continue on in the MCU. I think she is perfect for that. I think her performances we've seen after this, especially in not Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. I think she perfects what she starts in this movie. Her humor doesn't always work here. We talked about the poser thing. That's my minor little nitpick. But overall, I think she is great, and I think she perfects it in that Hawkeye, because the minute she comes on screen in that show, it turns into the Yelena Belova show, because that's just, she has, I'm not going to say to the degree, but she has that element of Robert Downey Jr.-esque, where whenever she's on screen, she kind of takes it over. And I think that's what it's going to be like in Thunderbolts. She's going to kind of lead forward. And I think that the trauma stuff that she explores in this movie, it's really interesting. More so than Black Widow, I would say.
Yeah, and I really love all the interactions she has with every character. I feel like every time she's on screen with someone else, she just completely steals the show in the best way possible. This movie is less about Black Widow Natasha and more about Black Widow Yelena.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree with that. I would agree.
Much like the Mandalorian show is about the Mandalorian as a clan. This is about the Black Widow as a clan.
It's plural. Let's do favorite scene. Favorite scene in Black Widow. I'll shoot this to Micah first if you've got it. Unless Ethan
I
has
really
his.
liked the Yelena and Natasha meeting on Budapest into the suicide of that Black Widow, the forced suicide. I thought that was a great intro. Not really intro. It's more of a push into the next act of this movie. I loved how comic booky the action is. Like, they're not super powered or anything, but they're still flying all over this little apartment. They're still being thrown into the cabinets, pinned onto the sink, and like just thrown across the room again. It's insane. I love it. And I love the chase scene that they have on the rooftops going into the motorcycle. It's great. I loved it. And then finishing it off with that tragic end of that one Black Widow. She can't help it. She's being forced. Boom, done. And that combined with the I'm a sucker for IMAX aspects, ratio stuff. It was great. They utilize it well. It reminded me a lot of the where was that at? The motorcycle scene that I'm thinking of in the last one that we watched, Mission Impossible. I mean, it wasn't nearly as good as the one with Henry Cavill and them, but you know, it's about as close as Marvel's gotten in a bike chase. I thought it was pretty sick. And the tank driving around, Rebecca was freaking out. She was like, "Oh, this is so cool."
There are scenes where I think Taskmaster is pretty terrifying. When they're in the subway.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that they're doing a really
Oh
good job
yeah.
with this.
And then they go up in the ducts and it's like, yeah, Clint and I were here for 10 days. And then you look on the wall and there's all the tic-tac-toes and all the hangmans and stuff. And there's just a lot of cool little shots like that and great action sequences in this movie. Loved it.
I don't know if I was as big on the action as you guys were, but I'm definitely not going
I
to
think
say
the
it's a
action was
detractor.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of Mission Impossible too much.
You're
Or
lame.
like,
Get out of here.
Like, do you think the action in this compares to anything Winter Soldier does?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, some of them.
Maybe if it
Some of
copies
them.
Winter Soldier like it did. I don't know. It felt like standard Marvel action.
But what's different about
nothing
this
really stood out.
is
think
that
what
they're not
stood out-
especially as
superhuman.
far as fight
I think what stood out to
choreography.
me was the level of practicality that went into it, which now feels like they don't do. Right? Like nothing to this level was on display.
That's
in
a good
Captain
take.
America 4.
The choreography is really impressive. From what I'm no expert or anything, but the only thing that clearly, but what would make this even better is if they didn't cut so dang much. They cut the action scenes up so much you almost get whiplash.
That's my problem.
But I think it's just enough to where you could say, "Ooh, yeah, that was a cool shot."
Yeah.
You don't get you almost get whiplash.
But we live in an era where John Wick exists. We live in an era where Marvel action
That's
has
true.
been better than what it is. And I think I like the practical action, but I think it's a step down. And I think you hit the nail on the head with cinematography. How it's
All
filmed,
right, who is it?
how they fought. I don't know.
You like the cinematography.
I don't know. It didn't do it for me.
Oh.
Now, at least not as much. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a detractor, but it didn't do it for me. as
Ben,
much.
what's the scene that did do it for you?
A scene that did do it for me is one we've mentioned before, but it's the American Pie sequence between Red Guardian and Yelena. That is, I would say, that's the only moment in this movie where I genuinely feel something.
That's who the cinematographer.
You know,
is.
it actually genuinely hit me with emotion, especially when they start singing. And I think it's a great piece of acting by David Harbour for sure. If the accents were just a little more spot on, I'd feel more, I think. But Yelena's perfect. Her facial expressions in that sequence really do it for me. I agree with you, Ethan. It does get me a little emotional.
Man, I'm by myself here. I didn't buy that scene at all.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It just wasn't there for me. But
You didn't like the music though.
Yeah. It's a pass for me because immediately it gets into a better spot. For
You were
me.
probably taken back to Guardians 2 where you were like, they integrate a song way better into that plot.
That is very true.
probably.
Yeah.
And I like immediately after that he gets hit by one, and he's like, "Do you think that?"
Yeah,
and then he gets hit
immediately,
by all the trank darts. That was funny.
Yeah. For
But-
me, my favorite scene is right after they have their fight. Natasha and Yelena sit down to have a meal, and they're talking about the life that could have been. And as they're sitting there in this courtyard, they are surrounded and they're looking around at families, at fathers, mothers, kids interacting, and Yelena is really like, I dreamed up what my life could have been. I dreamed up what
That was a great scene.
what you were doing, right? I made up you went and became a teacher, I think that she says. And you really get in Yelena's headspace like, man, we do take for granted the family that we had growing up. And she experienced that because like she's at that age where you don't remember everything. Like that is real. Those are core memories for her. She felt that it was real, and then that's ripped away from her. I feel like that scene really sets you into her headspace, really translates it super well.
So 2 out of 3 scenes were Yelena focused scenes as the best scenes in a Black Widow movie.
Well, and yours.
Yeah, I mean, mine was pretty pretty heavy.
I think
on
that's our
Yelena, too.
sentiment, though, and
Yeah.
I think it was the sentiment leaving the movie at the time too. Was okay, Black Widow was a, but Yelena, everyone really dug Yelena.
Well, don't take it from us. I think that's a perfect segue into what people did actually think. The scores of the internet and the box office numbers for Black Widow. Micah, you've got your amazing spreadsheet here.
I do.
Hit us with some numbers.
Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of red
Black
here,
Widow.
which means pretty
There's a lot of
average.
red in her ledger.
Red. Dude, red room right here. All right, let me zoom in a little bit. All right, Rotten Tomatoes critic, we've got 79%. Rotten Tomatoes audience, another 79%. Metacritic, 6.8 out of 10. Metacritic user, 6.0 out of 10. IMDb, 6.7. And Letterboxd, 3 out of 5. Averaging us out to a 6.8 out of 10.
Not bad.
So, I mean, not pointless.
No.
Definitely worth your time, just not maybe worth a rewatch, according to the internet. And I believe Hollywood Reporter was in a similar situation here,
The infamous Hollywood.
which is strange. Yeah, infamous Hollywood Reporter. If you guys don't know, they are an awful ranking that they have on their website for all of the Marvel movies. And they put it in 39th place, just above The Incredible Hulk and just under Blade 2, which I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, middle of the road. I think it's kind of a middle of the road. I
Well,
mean,
I
we'll find out, right?
Dude, I have some weird nostalgia for those Blade movies. At least
We
the first
disagree
two.
with this list, but I think middle of the road is a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
put Black Widow.
Well, we will see where it lands on our
Yeah,
ranking
we
once
will.
we give it some scores.
What did this do
What do you-
box
oh,
office
yeah.
wise?
You know, we didn't even
What-
talk about box office last week.
Yeah, money.
Let me scroll all the way down to the bottom.
I think
New
we-
Mutants was third from the bottom, just so you guys know. Even with a budget of $67 million, it only made $49 million.
I think it was third from the bottom on our list too.
So, yeah, peak. Black Widow just barely into our second from the best, worst performing movies. So,
if
just
that makes sense.
it almost made its money back. And why is this here? Oh, it's in our lower half. That's what it is. It's in our lower half of grossing, just dollars in general. But it didn't make twice of its budget at $200 million. It only made $379 million. So stinker here, guys.
So I wonder how much money would be factored in if you took how many people bought that movie. You know,
This
for
wasn't part of it
$30
at all.
which is box office. You know, that's
Yeah.
taking into account the theater, the
Isn't
money that the
movie
theater
sales?
brought in.
Isn't
you
that
know?
I think
DVD
it's all
sales?
everything.
Yeah, I think
I don't
it's
think
DVD sales.
I don't
too.
think box
But
office
still,
takes
I-
into account.
I think the biggest issue is that it's a $200 million budget. And it's in a time when $200 million might not have been the best bet, especially on a movie like this. I mean, they saw how Captain Marvel went, and maybe that gave him some confidence, but nobody could have predicted this with COVID going on.
Exactly.
And I was it all filmed pre-COVID? You guys
I
know?
believe it all was filmed before that. Well, they had a lot actually filmed before that, and Guardians was their plan. But before Chadwick passed,
Because I'm pretty sure I read in the trivia that Florence Pugh wasn't. She was casted and filmed after COVID, so it might have been a full post COVID. I don't know.
No
though. Don't quote
way.
me on that.
I don't know your
I might be
sources,
thinking on that
Micah.
wrong.
I don't know about that.
But yeah,
well, Black Panther was supposed to be the first one,
yeah.
and then Chadwick passed. So I don't know. It was in flux a lot. They had a lot finished, but they had to delay Guardians and Black Panther. They're two big heavy hitters. So Black Widow was just the one
She
that
was the one that
Yep.
was there.
pretty much. So not great in the box office, and I really don't think it takes into account anything that was made at home or on Disney Plus. It would probably have had a better budget or made its money back
Yeah.
if it hadn't have been released same day on Disney Plus. I think that was a lot of people's sentiments going forward. I know Tom Cruise had a lot to say about that stuff. I think where we're at now is
Sorry,
a good.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, right.
I would not watch a movie at home now. I want to apologize.
No way.
I'll see you at the movies. Yeah, after we just spent $35 a ticket for the IMAX MI.
Was it 35?
Was that
with my discount? I
35?
brought it down to 25.
Thank
Oh,
goodness.
Yeah.
No. You know what? I will say with these big movies, I would always pay. I would pay $50. You know, like I don't care. Don't take this, but like I like where
Well,
movie prices are at now. But
I mean, I
dude,
did go out to Indianapolis to watch Interstellar in IMAX 70 millimeter, and that was a full tank of gas there and back.
They could totally
And a hotel
charge.
room.
And a
Yeah,
hotel. I went out there twice to
Dude.
see it.
I'm surprised that they haven't done like opening weekend. They charge a little bit more for opening weekend because it's like you see it first here, especially for these big movies.
I
I'm
wouldn't
surprised
mind
they
that.
haven't done that.
like a second week, you get a $6 for all tickets, that are old. And then that would help with second weekend box numbers too. Like Sinners would have definitely been the first movie ever to
Make more
make
money.
more its
Yeah.
second weekend because it already almost broke the same number.
But
second
then
weekend.
you're taking like half the ticket price away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for like
I
something
don't
like
know about
sandwich,
that. Yeah.
$6 for a whatever.
Hey, I'm glad they haven't spiked the prices. Like that's good.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. I like where prices are
Yes.
at right now. I'm just saying for as much as we get excited for these movies, I'm surprised. Like I'd pay to see this, especially in a premium format.
All right,
And
you heard
we
it
do.
from here first. Ben will see Black Widow in theaters
Premium format.
for standard format for $50.
and he will pay for it. Yeah.
9 p.m.
I
showing.
did hear that.
So that's our internet scores. That's our box office talk. Let's get into our scores.
We don't care about the internet.
Yeah, that's
scores.
right.
Come on.
This is the best part. I cannot wait to hear what you guys give this, because we knew New Mutants was going to be pretty a
Garbage.
stinker. Buns. But this one, I mean, who knows? Is it going to be in the middle? I don't know. I think we're more positive than I would say negative, but we'll see. And I'll throw it to Mr. Wentzloff first.
Yeah, I had a really pleasant time revisiting this movie, and it was refreshing. It was refreshing to sit down, watch a Marvel movie that didn't feel like it had the weight of the world on its shoulders, at least on this rewatch.
That was good, yeah.
And it was fun. It was fun to be with these characters. I found most of them really compelling. I think the emotional scenes worked for me. The story, I think it kind of tinkers out a little in the middle and towards the end. I'm not the biggest fan of the way this movie climaxes, but I like the family dynamic. I like the characters. I think the action is pretty dang suitable. I think it's pretty fun at points, and I found the story really engaging. Now, I do think that the villain is super lame. I think Dreykov is lame. I think the climax of this movie is a stinker. I think the fact that you don't leave this movie jazzed up about Black Widow is a problem, and I think the placement of this movie really it suffers. You have to piece it together in your mind where the movie fits, and then okay, how does that work? She's already dead when this came out. I think that does hurt the movie. But I had a really good time revisiting this. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I think middle of the road, little better than middle of the road is where I would put this. So I think that so for example, Wesley Snipes' Blade is my benchmark at a 7. Hindsight, I would put that higher than a 7. All these years removed, but I like putting Black Widow at a 7 as well. But I want to clarify, Blade is significantly better than Black Widow. I want to clarify that. But I think both at a 7 is where I need to sit this.
Okay.
So 7 for Black Widow. I think it's good enough, and I had a good enough time watching it.
Yeah.
I wasn't upset leaving this movie.
Just about middle of the road for you. Okay, that checks.
Okay.
Micah?
Oh, my turn.
Micah?
Oh, you mean I gotta rate this?
Yeah,
Rate
that's
this
right.
trash? No, I'm just kidding. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I remember. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't remember much of this from the theater. I thought it was pretty forgettable the first time, but in a rewatch, really, it's just the Natasha parts that were forgettable. Which is not a good thing for a movie that's supposed to focus on it. I would like to reiterate a lot of what Ethan said with that. I mean, he hit the nail on the head. I thought the action bump it. I thought a lot of the action was spot on. Very Mission Impossible-esque. I wouldn't have compared it to Mission Impossible before, but now Ethan has shown me the light. I've seen the light of Mission Impossible.
Light the fuse.
Yeah. And, I mean, Mission Impossible is peak. This is trying to be Mission Impossible. But not really. I think it's great enough on its own. I think this also works as just its own movie, which you can't say that about all of the Marvel movies. A good chunk of them you can, but it wouldn't be a movie I would pass up if you're watching the Marvel movies. Like some of these you would skip. You would say, well,
It's worth revisiting, you'd say.
This was worth it.
agree.
I feel it would have been much better received if it were in a phase 2, phase 1, maybe even phase 3.
Maybe even phase 3.
Maybe even right after Civil War. I mean, come on.
You swap
Yeah.
Captain Marvel with Black Widow.
Maybe. I
That's-
don't know,
that's
but
my
you still
thought.
needed Captain Marvel for Endgame. It's just the way they made Endgame. You needed all the movies before it, and I'm pretty sure that was the executive decision that they had, was we've got Captain Marvel in the script. We need to introduce her somewhere, and that's the only reason why she got the chopping block for phase 3. But, I mean, all in all, solid action, solid. I mean, the score wasn't bad. The acting was pretty good. I enjoyed a good majority of this movie, but there's nothing that was like straight 10 out of 10 for me. And that brings the score down to a similar thing to Ethan. I'm going to give it a 7.2.
2.
Yeah, we'll go 7.2.
Yeah, real precise.
I think that's a fair. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go 7.2. I think it's
So the same score as the first X-Men is
Yeah.
what I'm seeing. Okay.
yeah. I would say this is better than Venom. I think you guys would agree, right?
I would agree easily.
I would. Oh, shout that from the rooftops.
But yeah, 7. It's like a middle of the road kind of movie. I mean, you're not gonna have a bad time. You're guaranteed to walk out saying, "Oh, yeah, it's good."
Not guaranteed, but I think
No, you're guaranteed to not be blown away, but
Right.
you're gonna be like, "Oh, yeah,
I was entertained.
that's
yeah.
good."
Yeah. It was a fast food meal, right? Not a 5-course.
Yeah.
Would
that's
you
a
guys
good way of
agree?
putting
This is
it.
I'll ask it later.
That's a good
The
way of putting
Scorsese
it.
question.
Yes, the answer is yes. I think I like this a little bit less than you guys did.
I
just
agree.
a little bit.
You don't like it.
I don't know. It has 3 big detractors.
4 out of 10.
No. I'm not going that low. No way. But it does. It has
What are
3
your
big
detractors?
detractors. Taskmaster, obviously, I've gone in depth about
Agreed.
that. I'm not as big on the action as you. I actually don't see that at all. I think that's a big detractor. I like the practical stuff, but the way it's filmed, I don't know. There's too much jump cuts, and it's just, I don't know. There's also some dodgy CGI as well. And then the other thing is there's not a lot of great everyone's got an accent in this movie, and no one perfects
Except
it.
Natasha.
No one perfects it at all. So I don't know. I just don't really vibe with that as well. And when she tries to do a Russian accent, it's not that great. That's more of a minor nitpick. But some of the reasons that things happen in this movie, the poser thing feels forced. The jacket feels so forced at the end. We didn't even talk about that. The jacket that she wears in Infinity War. It literally comes out of nowhere. She's like, well, all right, if you're leaving, I guess you need this vest. Why would she need the vest? Like,
She needs a vest, dude.
Pockets.
she needs the pockets.
Practical.
Maybe that's fine. It
And
just
she's
came out of
wearing
left
it
field for me.
in that movie.
It also really didn't vibe with me that Yelena was the one who sent her the potions, and then Black Widow goes to Yelena, and then they start fighting.
Or dude,
Why-
what about she's
why are
wearing
they-
the whole black suit, like the Black Widow iconic suit? Actually, it was her mom's. Not even hers.
I don't know. There was just some things that didn't jive with me here, and I don't feel a lot during this movie. I think we agree on that. Nothing really stands out as a 10 out of 10. So with that, I'm going to go with a 6.5 out of 10 here. Not terrible. It's not terrible. It's not a terrible rewatch. I don't know if I would say it's must-watch MCU television, but I agree it's worth revisiting. It's worth revisiting. And I own it now, so I guess I'll watch
He's
this
got money in the game.
with my kids. I know. I like watching it. I will say this, though. I really wish Disney was not as greedy as they were and just put the IMAX formats on the physical releases, please. Why are they only locked at Disney Plus?
It's not Disney. Actually, it's IMAX. That's the issue.
So why does
IMAX
IMAX
locking it
allow
down.
the Nolan films to come out with aspect ratios like that? Because they think that's cinema.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to keep
Pretty
that one
much,
there. No,
yeah.
that's stupid, man.
It gives them incentive to get more money from Disney specifically on every stream. Because the Nolan stuff has been since like Dark Knight came out.
Yeah.
Right? And that's been out for what, 20 years almost? I mean,
Almost.
dude.
17, yeah.
It's getting there. And so they just kept that going. There aren't really that many IMAX Blu-rays compared to movies that came out in IMAX theaters.
I think as big as Disney is, you gotta have that. You have to.
Dude,
you know?
Dune doesn't even have the IMAX cuts.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
And
I don't know.
that was shot on IMAX like camera.
I think you are
Don't cry about it,
shooting
Micah.
yourself
I
in
am.
the foot. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you're making physical media and you're not adding to that. Like, give us more of a reason to buy this stuff. You know?
I mean, every IMAX or every MCU movie from here on out, I'm pretty sure is IMAX on Disney Plus. They're all IMAX enhanced.
Yeah. So I'm like, what do I do? Do I watch it in a worse quality, but I get a bigger screen?
Yeah.
Or do I watch the physical movie and I get a perfect sound and perfect picture? I don't know. I don't know. That kind of annoys
such
me.
a first world problem.
Oh, what do I pick? My $40 Blu-ray or my $10 Disney Plus subscription.
Good way to bring it back, Ethan. Good
on
way
my big
to bring
60
it back.
or 70-inch TV.
Yeah, right.
Dang.
Bigger
So-
than my bed.
we have our scores now: 7, 7.2, and 6.5. Michael, what does that average out to?
Well, Ben, I think you'd be happy to know it's a 6.9 out of 10.
Nice.
Giving
Okay.
us tying with Blade. Never gonna be the
Like
Blade.
directly tied with Blade.
Directly tied with Blade.
Who
each
lowered our
have
Blade
that.
score? Why is Blade? Who
Don't look at me.
Who tanked
Don't
it? Is
look
that
at
you,
me.
Micah? Come on.
6.7 out of 10. You guys gave it a 7. So-
Micah, because you're if
Hey, that was early on. I was trying to be conservative.
so if we're tied, I think we have to vote right now.
We do.
I stated
35th
earlier
place.
I like Blade better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would ditto that sentiment.
Okay. So
Guys, do I retroactively ruin our 6.9 out of 10 Blade score?
no, we don't change that. We just know on our
Yeah.
ranking because
Well, no, we've done this before.
what two out of 3 of us say it's better. So it doesn't even matter what
Yeah.
you say, Micah.
Well,
So
I'll give it
you're-
a 0.1 so that we remember. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Blade
So yeah,
is-
Blade is 35th place, or sorry, 34th place. Black Widow is 35th place. Literally the middle of the road.
Dead middle.
So this is our 70th film,
Yeah.
Is this our 70th Farm Marvel movie?
63rd film. But
63. Okay.
there's only a few more until I believe it's our 50th
more-
MCU movie coming up.
Whoa, holy cow!
is our 70th all time? Is that Morbius? Is that what it lines up as?
Dude, 70, oh, including the shows.
Please.
So,
So no.
73rd
be
would
like
be Love and
Guardians.
Thunder, I believe.
Ooh.
We got to get the shows off this list.
Yeah, we
They're
do.
messing us up.
Well, I like them on there for reference, but
True.
Now we're referencing the wrong number.
So our overall score was 6.9. Right there. Wow. Okay. All right. So literally
I
middle
like
of the
it.
road.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's
pretty good.
It's middle of the road. And that does it for Black Widow. That's your commentary. I mean, if you're still watching, I'd love to know what you guys think.
Like, comment, subscribe. It's way too late to be saying that, but if you made it this far, you might as well do it. Come
Well,
on.
hey, I like to think of this as more of an experiment than
This
a
is the-
genuine promotion, but we would love your support.
24th film of the MCU. So the next one, our
25th.
next movie will be the 25th. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Is it
10 rings, right?
Shang-Chi.
Nice.
I'm excited to see this one.
Oh,
Last time I saw it, a little bit of spoilers for the next one. I watched it on my Wii U.
What?
While, guess what?
Wow.
Folding laundry.
Oh, man, it was
that
a
was a
folding
long-
Laundry movie.
It was. This
Oh,
was way
man.
back in the day.
All right, don't spoil anything
I
else.
won't.
'cause
I won't.
We got to get history out of the way with next, or whenever we podcast next.
Shang-Chi.
But
2 weeks from the release of
oh
of
man,
this-
I've been
this
looking
podcast.
forward to this. This is a movie I've wanted to revisit ever since it came out.
What you
Especially
talking
now.
about?
I think this is gonna be pretty well, but I think I have to get the.
I really hope Aquafina isn't as trash as people say she was. I haven't
remember
liked
her
her in
being
any
pretty-
movies since.
I remember her being pretty.
We watched.
Not good.
I'll save it for the next
Save
one.
it.
But
Save
yeah.
it, save it,
yeah,
save it.
I'm excited to do. We're gonna try to do these every other week now to just give you guys a consistent schedule. It's working out pretty well so far,
So
guys.
far.
We're 2 weeks in.
Can't wait
back.
for Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Thunderbolts.
That you've already seen.
That
Yep.
you've already all seen. Hope
Let us
it's
know what your
good.
thoughts on Thunderbolts are. Let us know what your thoughts on this podcast are. Are we trash? Are we peak?
We're probably
Yeah,
trash.
exactly.
We're middle of the road, just like
So
Black
look
Widow.
forward to Shang-Chi in
Bunch of
2
white
weeks.
males talking about a woman movie.
Hey,
We did get Ben's wife briefly.
Yes.
She thinks it's fine.
That's right. Next
yeah,
week,
I think she actually has
on to
the
the
worst.
Man movie.
She does not like this movie. But yeah, stay tuned for that next week. For now, this has been Rayside.
This is Ethan.
This is Red Micah Head.
Signing off, we all hope you have an absolutely fantastic day.